I used to think the pettiest thing an HOA president could do was find a man over a crooked mailbox. Then Donna parked a damn food truck across my driveway before sunrise, every morning for 2 straight months, like she was trying to deep fry my sanity before breakfast. I'd wake up to the engine growling outside my bedroom, grease smoke crawling to the window, and for a few confused seconds I'd think, no, that can't be real, not again. But it was real every single morning, and after a while I realized something ugly. Some people don't want power because they have good ideas. They want power because it lets them be mean with paperwork. My name's Garrett Holloway. I'm 53, retired electrician, and for 11 years I've lived on Blackwood Lane in a subdivision outside Raleigh, North Carolina. The kind of place that looks peaceful enough from the outside that you'd never guess half the drama comes dressed in khakis and smiles. I bought that house the hard way. My late wife, Carolyn, and I scraped for it, saved for it, passed up vacations for it. We loved that place because it felt earned. Corner lot, long sloped driveway, room for my truck and my old boat trailer, pine needles gathering on the walk-in fall, morning light hitting the kitchen windows just right. Carolyn used to stand by the sink with coffee in both hands and say it felt like the house woke up gently. After she died in 2019, that house stopped being just property to me. It became the place where her memories still lived in ordinary things. The cabinet she always shut with her hip, the window she liked cracked open at night, the kitchen she wanted to redo one day when the money was there. So no, I was not in a mood to let some HOA tyrant turn my front driveway into an extension of her breakfast business. Donna Platt had been HOA president for about 2 years when the whole neighborhood started feeling different. You know that feeling before a storm, when the air gets strange and your skin notices before your brain does. That's what it was like. Before Donna, the HOA had been annoying in the usual suburban way. Fence disputes, speed bumps, somebody whining about trash cans staying out too long. Then Donna took over, and suddenly every rule became a weapon. She was the kind of woman who could smile at you while insulting you, and somehow leave you feeling like you were the rude one. Sharp bob haircut, pressed clothes, white Escalade, always moving like she was late to inspect a crime scene. She also owned a food truck, breakfast sandwiches, pastries, coffee, that kind of thing. For a while she kept it parked at a commercial lot nearby, which made sense. Then one Tuesday in early September, she decided convenience mattered more than anybody else's rights and rolled that giant truck right up to my driveway at 5:47 in the morning. First day, she knocked on my door before my alarm even went off, cheerful as could be, telling me she was just using the curb temporarily and would be gone by 7. I told her blocking a driveway violated city ordinance. She tilted her head and gave me that fake sweet smile. Said it was a public street. Said I didn't need to worry. Said she'd be gone soon. She wasn't gone by 7. She wasn't gone by 7:40 either. And the next morning she came back. Then the next after that. By day 3, I had the soundtrack memorized. Low diesel rumble first, coming to the floorboards like the house itself was irritated. Then the generator with its high whine. Then the metal clank of the serving window. Then the smell, burnt grease, propane, stale fryer oil, cheap coffee. Before sunrise. Every day, I'd walk outside and ask her, still polite somehow, to move so I could get out. She'd tell me, "Just a minute, hun," and then ignore me while serving customers. That hun started feeling like a slap. Now, Donna being Donna, this wasn't happening in a vacuum. She'd already sent me petty violation letters that year. One over a weathered fence board, one over mailbox hardware that had been there forever. Retaliation dressed up as governance. She thought she had leverage because she ran the board and had friends on it. What she didn't understand was that I spent most of my adult life tracing bad systems back to the source. Electricians do not scare easy just because something looks complicated from the outside. We follow the line, find the fault, and fix it. So I documented everything. On day 4, I filed with City Code Enforcement. Photo attached. Time stamped. Her bumper overlapped my driveway apron. Clear violation. They came out, looked, left a notice on her windshield. Next morning, Donna moved the truck 6 inches. 6 inches. I'm not exaggerating. Just enough so the bumper didn't cross the line anymore, but still close enough to choke off the exit and make a point. That's when I hired a surveyor. Best money I spent in the whole fight. Bert was one of those meticulous men who looks happiest while proving somebody wrong with math. He spent 4 hours staking, spraying, measuring, checking property line, street edge, sight line, all of it. His stamp report showed something useful. When Donna parked in her new, technically legal position, her mirror still extended into the visual clearance area for exiting a private drive. Different violation, bigger problem. I refiled with code enforcement and also sent the documentation to the State Transportation Office because sightline obstruction fell under their jurisdiction too. 2 agencies, 2 complaints, 1 very stubborn food truck. Donna showed up at my door that Saturday, furious, arms crossed, Escalade half on the curb like she was staging a photo shoot called Entitlement in Beige. She asked if I'd really filed with the state. I told her yes. I had documented a safety issue and sent it to the proper authority. She said, "You don't call the state on your neighbors." I said, "I do when my neighbor mistakes herself for an exception." She didn't like that. A couple days later, the trailer violation she'd sent me quietly disappeared from the HOA portal. No explanation. Just gone. That told me I'd hit something sensitive. Then the first tow happened. I'd love to pretend I was above enjoying it, but I'm not a liar. I stood at my front window with real coffee in my hand and watched the flatbed lift Donna's giant rolling grease box off the street like it was a dead appliance. Quiet came back to Blackwood Lane for the first time in weeks. I could hear birds again. That may sound small, but when you had diesel and fryer smoke shoved into your mornings long enough, birds start to feel holy. She paid the impound fee and brought it back the next morning. Then it got towed again and again. By the 4th tow, people in the neighborhood were talking. My neighbor Warren, retired high school principal, calm as old leather, stopped me one day by the mailbox and told me Donna had done this kind of selective enforcement before. Mentioned a family on Elm Court who'd gotten hammered with violation notices until they moved. I remembered them. Quiet family, decent people. I'd assumed job relocation. Warren didn't think so. He was careful with his words. But what he said, and later put in writing, changed the whole shape of thing for me. This wasn't just Donna being petty with me. There was a pattern. Certain households got watched harder, cited more often, pushed more aggressively. Not everybody. Not evenly. That kind of pattern leaves a stain once you see it. So I started building a paper trail the serious way. Logs, dates, photos, every tow, every notice, every response. I started quietly asking other homeowners about their experiences. 6 households stood out, not all minority families, but enough of a pattern to make your stomach go cold. 2 had already moved. 1 was still in an active dispute. I'm not a civil rights lawyer, but I know what selective enforcement looks like when the numbers stack up. Meanwhile, Donna kept escalating. Emergency board meetings with barely any notice. New rule proposals designed so specifically around my life, it was almost funny. She tried to pass one requiring approval before residents filed complaints with outside agencies, which even one of her own board members knew was absurd. Then she tried an amendment dressed up as an aesthetic corridor along my block, one that would ban vehicles wider than 7 feet near driveways. Her truck, of course, was just under that. She had measured her own food truck to weaponize a rule. You have to admire the insanity of it for half a second before you remember you're living in it. I paid for a short consult with an HOA attorney, worth every penny. She confirmed Donna's notice of the amendment vote was defective under state law because the full text hadn't been properly sent to homeowners. So I showed up at the October meeting with statute printouts, notes, and Warren by my side. Room smelled like stale coffee and resentment. Donna was flying through the agenda like speed itself might save her. When she got to the amendment, I stood up and calmly laid out the notice defect. Warren stood too and backed me up, reminding the room he'd been on the original founding committee and knew exactly how the bylaws were supposed to work. Another board member, Suzette, seconded a motion to table it. It passed. Donna looked at me afterward through my car window and told me I'd regret making a fight. That was the moment I knew it was already bigger than driveway. Because around tow number 8, while I was doing the math on how much this ridiculous woman had paid to keep losing the same argument, I got curious about her money. Not out of obsession, out of pattern. A struggling food truck, an expensive SUV, renovation chatter, legal maneuvering. It didn't add up. Public records are a beautiful thing if you're patient. Property filings, liens, court judgments. Piece by piece, I found debt. Then I requested HOA financial records, which homeowners are entitled to see. And there was a transfer to a vendor called DMP Consulting Services. No real contract. No proper board approval. I looked up the business registration. Donna Platt. Donna had apparently been paying herself out of HOA funds under a fake consulting label. I sat with that for a while in the quiet of my kitchen. There's a particular kind of anger that comes when you realize somebody didn't just bully you. They've been feeding off the whole neighborhood while acting righteous about it. It made everything click. The truck, the intimidation, the constant pressure. None of it was about breakfast sales anymore. It was about control, about a woman who thought rules were bars for other people and ladders for herself. From there, things got methodical. Warren and I worked at his kitchen table with a CPA named Roland and the attorney. We organized everything. Tow records, survey, agency complaints, HOA letters, comparative enforcement data. I filed a housing complaint based on the selective pattern. Roland reviewed the HOA financials and wrote a formal memo on the unauthorized payments. We planned to present it all at the annual meeting, on the record, in front of homeowners. 2 weeks before that meeting, Donna started panicking. Sent a dramatic letter to all the residents painting me as some dangerous agitator hurting a small business owner. Tried to shape the story through a local community blog. Then, in the move that told me she knew exactly how deep the water was, she sent her adult son to my porch one evening to ask if I'd let it go in exchange for 6 months of HOA dues. He looked embarrassed just saying it. I almost felt sorry for him. I told him no, and I wrote down every word after he left. By the time the annual meeting rolled around, the truck had been towed 16 times. The room was packed, 60-plus homeowners. Even a reporter in the back with a notebook. Donna opened the meeting like she still thought routine could save her. When open comments came up, I stood, calm, steady. I walked them through the driveway timeline first, because everybody understood a block driveway. Then the tow count. 18 total events on the chart by the end. Then the failed bylaw stunt. Then the enforcement disparity. I didn't rant, didn't speculate, just facts. Let the room do its own math. Then Roland took the floor. 7 minutes. That's all it took. He explained the unauthorized payments, the lack of approval, the missing documentation, the violation of governance rules. Clear voice. No drama. Just truth laid out neat enough that nobody in that room could hide from it. Suzette asked Donna point blank if the payments had ever been approved in a board meeting. Donna said the board had been informed. Roland said the minutes didn't show that. And the room, it didn't explode. It collapsed inward. That's the word for it. You could feel people realizing all at once that the woman who'd been finding them over flower pots and mailbox paint had been helping herself to the neighborhood's money. The vice president moved to place her on administrative leave, pending review. Passed 6-1. Her one vote was for herself. Donna resigned within weeks. The financial review backed Roland up. She paid the money back. Her truck got listed for sale not long after. The new board got elected. Warren ended up chairing it despite grumbling like a man sentenced to public service. and meetings somehow became shorter and saner. I finished the kitchen Carolyn had dreamed about, good quartz counters, better light, the kind of quiet she would have loved. And every morning now, I back my truck out of my driveway with nothing in front of me but road. That's the thing I learned from all this, and I learned it later than I should have. Petty authority counts on fatigue. It counts on you deciding it's easier given than to document, easier to swallow it than to challenge it, easier to feel isolated than to compare notes with other people who've been pushed around too. But once you start writing things down, once you bring facts into a room full of witnesses, people like Donna get smaller fast. Not because karma is magic, because truth, boring old paper truth, has a way of stripping the costume off a bully. And I'll tell you something else. The sweetest part wasn't even the towing, though I'd be lying if I said tow number 1 didn't warm my heart. The sweetest part was hearing birds again, quiet street, clean morning air, coffee in Carolyn's kitchen, that feeling of a promise kept. So now I want to ask you something. When somebody hides behind rules to control other people, do you think fighting back hard is justice? Or does revenge always risk turning you into a version of them? Tell me where you land. And if you've ever dealt with a bossy HOA, a power-hungry neighbor, or somebody who thought they were untouchable, I want to hear your story too.